Go Chundria, Chundria, it's Chundria Show.
My next guest is a proud quintuple threat, gracefully rising to the top.
What's up, y'all? My name is Chizuko. I'm a singer, vocal producer, dancer, songwriter, and catch me on the Chundria Show. Thank you
How
for
are
having
you?
me. I'm good. How are you?
You feel good?
I do feel good. I feel
Bay
really
Area
good.
good? You representing the Bay today?
Always.
Fantastic. Let's get started. You're an amazingly multi-talent singer, songwriter, pianist, producer, dancer. Growing up in the Bay Area, what cultivated your love of music and the arts?
Well, music has always been in my life. You know, I started playing the piano at the age of 3, and then I started dancing at the age of 4. So I've always been in music, and it's never left me. I think the ultimate decision for me was when I was watching Disney Channel.
Okay.
And so I saw the Cheetah Girls in Hannah Montana, and so they were dancing and singing, and I was just yeah. I was that's what I want to do, you know, and I was so into music and singing and dancing and everything that had to do with it. And yeah, I always continued it. I went to an art school actually in high school and in middle school.
This is in the Bay Area?
Yeah, this is in the
Okay.
Bay Area, Oakland School for the Arts. So it was really good, and you know, even joined a national championship 5-time year a cappella group. So it was really good.
So you've always been very disciplined, I hear.
Yeah, I've always been
okay.
disciplined.
So you always were able to manage your studies, but you were writing music early on?
Yes,
Okay.
I was always, you know, definitely there was you know, sometimes it was hard, but I was always
What
able
were you
to
writing
maintain
about?
it.
What were your songs about during
My
that time?
songs?
Yeah, what were you writing
Well,
about?
I think it was more so just about me writing about anything. Really,
Okay.
it was just open. I wanted to just start writing, you know. Sometimes it was about failed friendships or love or you know, even just insecurities that I had, you know, just stuff that would just help me write, you know. I was always writing, whether it was poetry or spoken word or just music. Yeah, you know.
So it was
just
a creative outlet for you
Yes,
as well.
yeah.
Okay. So, and I love how passionate you are about music too. I
Thank
just love.
you.
I feel it. I feel
Thank
your
you.
energy when it comes to talking about your humble beginnings and you know, to be 3 or 4 years old, you know, playing the piano to here you are many years later, you know. So congratulations.
Thank you.
How do you personally define your sound and your style of music?
Well, I personally define it as alternative R&B and hip hop. I feel like both of those elements, you know, are in my music and even within my artistry. So I strongly define myself as both, but with a little bit more of a fresh twist to it.
Okay. And where do you draw your inspiration, present day, in songwriting?
Ooh, present day. Really in all forms. It could be, you know, an experience that I had, or it can even be through an artist that I like to listen to. I'm just very... I love to hear different sounds and to write about my experiences. So it's really just depends on what happens or if I hear something that I'm ooh, I might want to try to write a song like that, or I'm very inspired by that, you know.
So I know you do. I went to your YouTube and I know you do a lot of covers, which
Yeah.
is awesome. I love your voice.
Thank you.
So do you ever hear a song and then make your own remix to it or write your own verse to something like that?
Yes,
Okay.
I do. Yeah, it's always fun to, you know, play with songs and to see what's available too, because with songwriting and with music there's always something available for you to add, you know. But yeah, I've definitely done that before.
I love your original song, Hustle.
Thank you.
I watch your music video. How was your experience from songwriting up to shooting the music video with Hollywood as your backdrop?
I think it was really great. I think the Hollywood as the backdrop, I felt like for me, it just kind of symbolized, you know, where I want to be even too. You know, I feel like as an upcoming artist, you know, it's I'm living my dream every day. I want to live my dream even more. And that backdrop just symbolizes you know, I'm here and I'm hustling and I'm doing everything I can in my power to make, you know, my dreams come true and, you know, to really fulfill my passion. And so it was kind of more of a motivation for me, you know what, I'm going to do it on this, you know, that's the hook, yeah.
How instrumental were you in that creative process, though? Because you collaborated with a producer in there, and then you had a guest feature. I saw the rap on there.
Yeah.
It was Blue, did I see?
True.
True. Okay. You had True performing on that, and you're into collaborations.
Yeah.
So how did those collaborations come about?
Well, actually, me and True go to school together.
Okay.
So I go to college at Cal Arts.
Okay.
And so he is actually in the theater program, but he raps.
Okay.
So he's doing a lot of great things right now,
Okay.
in
Shout out to
music.
True.
Shout out to True, because he's doing a lot of amazing things right now. So that's how we met, and I heard his sound, he heard mine, and we were just like, we have to make a song.
So to meet someone who has that same passion and energy for music, it's like, oh, we have to collaborate.
Oh, yeah. We have to collaborate, or even just talk, sit down and talk about it, I always think it's important to have people like that around you, because it's very rare you meet people that, not only are like really gifted at what they do, but really genuine. And he's such a genuine person.
So who shot the video? Who was the creative behind that video?
Yeah, so it was actually, I'm trying to think of his Insta handle.
That's okay. The name?
His name is Chris.
Okay.
And so he is really talented. But you can find his Instagram handle on my IG. So I'll definitely
So he
post
directed the video. You guys the three of you came together to figure out like where you would, shoot at.
Yes.
Okay.
It was actually Chris and his friend too. So they both like collaborated, and I reached out to them, and we basically went down to like downtown LA and
that
like
was
different
downtown?
spots.
Okay.
Yeah. And they just like helped with everything. It was amazing. Yeah.
Got it done, girl. It's beautiful. Like, the professionalism, the quality of your
Yeah,
brand, the quality
yeah.
of your video content on top of the quality of the music. Like, you're really doing a great job out here.
Thank you.
Let's talk about names. Tell me why you chose your legal middle name as your stage name and what it means to you.
Yeah. Wow. So Chizuko is actually my grandmother's name. So I'm named after her. And Chizuko means 1,000 cranes, or child of 1,000 storks. So it has a lot of symbolism to it, and a lot of things that I represent. It also represents good health, longevity, and even kind of has like an alternative meaning of like social bird. So I feel like Chizuko is really the definition of who I am, as an artist and as a person.
And you've been the social bird. You've been, performing since you were 3 years old. So I definitely can see that, beautiful namesake. As your star continues to rise, which of your musical influences do you look forward to working with someday? We're going to speak life today. We're going to speak life. Speak life. Who do you want to work with?
I do want to work with a lot of artists. I do plan on working and collaborating. I think the one first, I would have to say Janae Aiko. She's definitely... I've been listening to her music ever since I was like in middle school, till now. And I always go to her music for inspiration or guidance, or even just, the way that she writes is incredible to me. And so I would love to be in the studio with her one day and, even be a part of that process.
So, okay, Janae, you heard that?
Yeah.
That's fantastic. What encouraging word can you offer youth around the world who have dreams of pursuing music someday? Because you were once a sweet little girl, just playing the piano and into the arts and, dreaming. And now you're living your dream out, in full, beautiful, bright color.
Yeah.
So, there's another little
Chizuko.
girl somewhere out there who is thinking one day when I'm older, I'll pursue this. What advice do you have for that little girl out there?
I would just say that, good things really do come with time, and that, patience and faith is a key virtue, to getting anything in life. And that as long as you, have your plan, you're passionate, and you know that the hard work and dedication will pay off, that's all you need to hold on to. Everything else doesn't matter. And I would just say, be patient, stick to you and who you are, and continue doing what you love, because it's important.
Oh, and what's next for you? What's the next stop for you? Anything we can know about yet?
Yeah, well, I'll actually be producing and pushing out a new single. It's called I Love It, so it should be out this week.
Okay.
And it's super exciting, and so you should be on the lookout for that. It'll be on all platforms.
And then who did you collaborate for that project?
So it was a producer named Dwayne Coles, and then the mixing engineer was G. White. So we just kind of all collectively, made the song. I did all the songwriting, Dwayne made the beat, and then G. White did the mixing, and Yeah, and that was basically it. It was very easy.
I
Very
love
easy.
how multifaceted you are and how
Thank
you know
you.
your way around the entire
Thank you.
studio, from the songwriting process to laying down the vocals to producing it to arranging. Like I love how
Yeah.
multifaceted you
Thank
are.
you.
And I think that
Yeah.
that's just gonna always propel you, and skyrocket you to the next level of your career. So I just
Thank
wish you
you.
nothing
I
but
appreciate
success.
that. Thank
Just
you.
being what did I say? A quintuple threat to be so
you.
talented, at such a young
Yeah.
age. I think that's just fantastic.
Thank you.
So, all right. Well, thank you.
Oh, I actually I got you a gift.
You have a gift
Yes.
for me?
Online. Here you go. I just wanted to
Ooh.
really thank you
Aw.
for being on the show,
Of-
and I feel really honored to be here.
Thank you. What
You're
is
welcome.
this? I like gifts. Oh, that is so cute. Thank you. Wow. Hugs for you. That's so sweet. Thank you so much.
Of course. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We're going to continue to follow your journey. How do we keep up
Yeah.
with you and what you got going on? Socials?
Yeah, socials. So go to my Instagram at Karitha Chizuko, YouTube Karitha Chizuko. Everything is Karitha Chizuko. Yeah,
You are
so stay
branded.
tuned. Branded Chizuko.
Yeah. And what's this?
Chizuko.
Oh, you are branded.
My grandma actually,
Okay.
she wrote this out, and I was like, this is perfect. It's perfect.
Okay, very good. Well, can I get you to do a shout out? My next guest is a critically acclaimed actor, director, producer, filmmaker, screenwriter, and also a celebrity barber.
Hello, I'm actor, director, writer, producer Louis T. Powell, and I am on the Chundria Show.
Thank you.
Hello.
Louis!
Good to see you. Good to see you. Thanks for having me.
Welcome. How are you today?
I'm good. How about yourself?
I am wonderful.
Yeah.
You made it to the Chundria Show.
Yeah, I'm glad I made it. I'm glad I got invited. Usually I don't get invited to the cookout.
Are you from
No,
LA or where are you from?
Nah, originally from Washington, D.C.
Washington,
but I've
D.C.,
been in
East
LA
Coast.
for a
How long have
while.
you been here?
18 years now.
Oh, you're a vet now.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
spend
yeah,
more.
yeah.
They say if you spend more than 10 years in LA, you did it.
Yeah, I go home a lot though.
Okay.
Like about 5-6 times a year. So
Okay. I
Yeah.
still hear it. I still hear the
it
East
comes
Coast
out.
in
It
you.
comes out when it wants to. It comes out a little thicker, depending on the situation. Usually when I go home, but
Okay.
yeah.
Tell me about your upbringing and your introduction to media arts.
Introduction to media arts. Oh man, it's kind of crazy. I had my great grandmother. She was actually like a real tall, long-legged dancer. She used to dance in like some of these big routines back in the day. And my great uncles were the Fadrilles. They had like a blues folk band, and they used to tour all over the world back in like the 60s and 70s. I still got some of their old records. Like, it's funny. My second film, I actually used some of their bluegrass records to cover a few different spot checks in some of my scenes.
Wow.
Yeah. But that was kind of like my introduction into that space. Yeah.
Okay. So did you take any classes? Were you ever in any camps? Were you like exposed
Classes,
in any way
yeah. I mean,
early on?
like everybody black, it's like it started off in church.
Okay.
I mean, it was like, when I was a youngster, we used to do a lot of the church plays at 12th Street Christian Church, Northwest Washington, D.C. That was the place
Shout
where I
out.
grew up at, yeah. But it was like, I always remember, like, Sundays, man, we would go in and rehearse every Sunday, and, Christmas, Easter, any kind of little special occasions, we would do the youth ministry plays and stuff like that. And it always kind of put me in a space where I just loved the arts, from that space. And then, growing up in a barbershop, obviously, it's like you meet so many different walks of life and people that have done so many different things. I got a chance to see newscasters and different people that were doing like little local things, back in the day. And it just kind of put me in a space where it was, maybe I wanted to do this too.
I love the training ground that you had because
Yeah.
you're learning the discipline, you're learning the rehearsal, you're learning the commitments and things like that that comes with the art. So it seems like it was a great groundbreaking experience for you, to level up to the point where you are today. So let's talk about your short film project, Padlock Men, and your inspiration for the storyline and the characters.
The inspiration kind of ties in. First thing, Padlock Men is like a labor of love for me. I came up with the idea in 2014. I was working in development for a while with my comedy partner, Affion Crockett, in 2010. Had a show on Fox. That ran for about 6 episodes. But then, I pitched about 24 projects with him. up until around 2013. And it was like for about a year, I was sitting there in a space where I wanted to work on something uniquely on my own. And I didn't know what I wanted to work on yet. So I kind of just put it out to, put it out to God, put it out to the universe and say, look, whatever comes to me, I'll know when it's right. And whatever it is, I'm going to honor it. And I've done that with pretty much every idea I've worked on in the past. So cut to about a year later from 2013, I woke up out of my sleep and I saw vividly Martin Luther King, JFK, and Malcolm X. And it was just like, it just was flashing right across my face. And I knew that was it. And at that point in time, it was like, those were the padlock men. And I created the alter egos from them, which was a vigilante group of secret civil rights soldiers.
I love that.
Yeah.
Now, there's the actor Louis T. Powell, and then there's the film's main character, Walter Friedel Posey, which I see where the Friedel comes from. I got that, caught that.
Yep.
Do those two people have anything in common when you wrote this character?
Every character that's in my actual piece, because the story itself is based off a limited series that I created. When I created the actual television pilot teaser, it was based off of 314 note cards later. This actually started off as a novel for me.
Okay.
But, the characters took so much more depth. And I said, you know what, the characters taking so much more depth in a novel standpoint, I said, this would make a great television series, because you can explore characters a lot more, like I said, a lot more in depth. The name Walter Posey Friedel actually is three combinations of different members in my family. Every character in my every character in my piece has something to do with someone in my family. Walter is my grandfather. Okay. Walter is my grandfather on my father's side. Posey is my great grandfather on my mother's side, and the Friedel is actually the great grandfather on my mom's side, also on my grandmother's side.
I know that has to feel amazing for your family for you to create something that includes your lineage like that.
It was important for me even when I shot the pilot teaser. When you watch the wall, there's a barbershop wall, and it's full of photos. And all of the photos are from everybody. I told everybody, I said, I want everybody to have a sense of history and a sense of their well-being and what their lineage was in this piece also. So I had them bring in black and white photos of their grandfathers, grandmothers, great-grandfathers, and every person has a tie-in on that wall, which was kind of special to me, which tied into like my family lineage.
What a great history though too, because like I said, you're not thinking about yourself. That's Black history for you, for your crew, for everybody that's involved. So
I mean, look, I'm a black man through and through. It's like I've been one for a long time. I grew up in a barbershop full of black men. It's like, it was 17.
Sweeping up hair, right?
Sweeping up hair. It was 17 barbers in my family.
Okay.
I started off sweeping up hair for nickels, dimes, and quarters. And I was the little kid that would dust your back off for a nickel. And if you didn't want to give me a nickel, I would embarrass you till you got out the door. Keep brushing you till you had to turn around and say, what the hell is
okay,
you can't take this, you're embarrassing me,
Okay.
But yeah.
Now you work both behind the scenes and in front of the scenes in film. What was the experience or training that prepared you to execute multiple roles in a single project? You're directing it, you're the lead character, you're directing it, you're managing the crew, you're doing everything. So
to me, that comes from, it takes time. It takes time. It takes a lot of hard work, and it takes discipline, and one of the things I've always had in my life is discipline. I've always been able to separate things, my left brain from my right brain, and being able to compartmentalize like that. It's the time where you use your creative, and there's a time where you have to use your business sense, and you have to know how to switch gears in between, and then sometimes they meet in the middle. And I think that's what management is, true management is. So, for me, being able to switch gears, going back to the training side of it, like I studied acting also at Howard University. I also had a business degree in management and a minor in finance. And then on top of that, it was like I was always coming from a place where entrepreneurial spirit to me was always building. Like I never wanted to have a job where I actually had to work underneath someone. So I'm always thinking about the bigger picture. The bigger picture is when you're working for yourself, sometimes you're going to be the man that sweeps the floor up, or you're going to wash the windows. And at the same time, you're going to write the checks, and then you're going to balance the books, and then you're going to go out and advertise and market to the customers. It's the same thing. So when I looked at it being a filmmaker, being able to be a director, what are you doing? You're managing people, you're directing people. When you're a producer, you're actually hiring people. You're looking at the quality of resumes and the quality of work people do, and bringing in those people to facilitate what you as a director and what you want to visually see. As a writer and as an actor, all of that stuff kind of plays together because it's all a creative medium. See, one of the things I look at from a creative standpoint is when I get to work as an actor and I'm in front of the camera, I can see the set from a whole total different set of eyes, and it's all coming from character. And when I see where I place it, how a line is delivered, how it affects me, it's like, it's the same thing when you write. When you write, you're actually playing each individual character, which does what? It circumvents around and it helps you strengthen the character that you actually play, because you're getting perspective. Every creative medium to me is usually just about perspective. It's like being a director's perspective. It's like when you're behind the camera, it's like you kind of look and you say, you know what? Oh, I want to frame this up as a 2-shot, a close-up. Oh, what is going to give me more of a dramatic effect? Is it going from a jump cut from a wide shot to a close shot to a medium 2-shot? It's like, what is going to give me that dramatic effect? As a musician, you add music. Everything has a feeling to it.
And
it's
you
a
can hear
post.
the difference. You can hear the strings. You can hear the keyboard. You can hear
And
the
it's
bass.
like
You can
having
hear
that
it all
post
separately.
and having that balance. That's what makes, to me, great filmmaking.
I love how passionate you are about filmmaking. I love
Yeah.
like how multifaceted you are, and I think that's absolutely amazing. So
It's dope to share life experiences. Yeah.
now you mentioned that growing up in the barbershop with your
Mm-hmm.
family, you've been noted as a celebrity barber. Tell me about your familial influence in the service industry and what celebrities you've worked with.
Well, in the service industry, you know, like I said, I started off in a barbershop. I started cutting hair when I was 13 and a half years old. You know, and I got in the
You
shop.
had clients at 13 coming
Yeah,
to
I
see
remember
you?
my very first one. It was a little kid, my buddy Black, got, you know, rest in peace. He used to bring his son up, and his baby mother used to bring his daughter, bring his son up, and Black used to, he sat over there and he was like, hey, he said, Lou, go ahead, try it, see what you can do. So I started cutting him up for about, I guess, 3 or 4 months, and next thing you know, I had a few other people that sat in my chair and a few other, and cut to about 30 years later in the barbering game. I mean, pretty much, essentially, it was like I had probably cut over about 40,000 heads. But my
40,000?
yeah, easily. But my very first celebrity was actually Master P and his brother Greg in DC. My buddy Kenny Westray actually had a clothing company. He was working with Steve Francis at the time. He was down in Houston. And then I was doing some work with Scarface. I was doing a lot of stuff music-wise back and forth to Houston. And Kenny was like, hey, man, P is coming into town. He said, man, he need a barber. So I ended up going, I think it was the Grand Hyatt downtown, and I cut P up and his brother Greg. And then from that point, it was about 2 years later, I ended up in LA, and I ended up running across Blue Williams, who was Outkast's manager at the time. And then from there, it was like I rode with them for 2.5 years straight up until the point they
Like
won
on
the
tour
Grammys.
when they were traveling and performing?
Nah, it was like because see, it was like one of those things, I'm a filmmaker.
Okay.
So it's like if I'm in LA, I'm not about to break. A lot of people try to get me on to go on the road, but it was like, barbering has always been like the secondary thing for me, but it's a love in my heart because I grew up with it. But every time.
You easily could have gone that route.
Oh, easy.
Been
It was
traveling
like,
the world as a barber.
I established myself as the guy where if you had a photo shoot, if you had a big award show, you would call me.
Okay.
So whenever Outkast came in town, like I cut him up for covers of Source, Vogue. I mean, I cut Andre 3000's braids off for when he did it for Idlewild. I remember joking with him because the dude had, I remember Dre had, with his braids, he called me up. He was standing at the Peninsula Hotel. I came up there and he was like, man, I want to get rid of my braids. I'm about to try something different. You know, this is my signature thing. So he was like, I want a Gumby. So I cut him this Gumby, man. It was like this. It was high. It was a high, like Kwame old school Gumby. So after I cut it off, he was like, he loved it. So this was probably about 6 o'clock, man, about 12:30 at night. I get a call. Yo, Lou, man, I need to cut this bullshit off.
That fast?
Yeah, it was like, he said, I don't know what I was thinking, man. And he was leaving the movies or something. So I said, look, I'll come back over in the morning, man. And then me and him got to talking. We sat and talked for like a couple of hours, man. And then we just kind of talked about like old school movies, and we talked about school days. And he was like, man, I want a Big Brother Almighty. So if you're old school and you watch School Days, for you young filmmakers, if y'all haven't watched School Days as Spike did, then you need to do your homework because y'all bullshitting too. So, but it was like, he was like, you want a Big Brother Almighty, and that's how he wore his classic part down the middle, down the side, faded with the mustache.
And you did that?
Yeah. It
Wow.
was funny, man. Funny, but
Wow.
yeah. But it's like, I mean, I worked with Cast a lot. I worked with 50 Cent for about 8 years. Did a lot of his big photo shoots, like Cover Black Enterprise and Bloomberg Business Week. I worked with Donnie McClurkin, Dwayne Wade. I worked with Team Jordan for a while with Chris Paul. I don't know. Sugar Hill Gang. I be forgetting Bob Sinclair. I didn't even know who he was when he came from Europe. I was like, this dude gets this much to DJ? Jesus Christ, I'm in the wrong business. I need to learn how to cut some records. But yeah.
Interesting. You live in a very interesting and amazing life. Do you feel like when you wake up,
I feel blessed every day.
You
It's
feel
like,
blessed every day?
one of the things I looked at, like being in the shop and being in, coming from DC in the 80s and 90s, DC was actually the murder capital. It was no getting around it. And it's not a badge of honor or nothing like that, but it was just like one of those things you learn how to survive, but I lost a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
When you're in a neighborhood shop, man, and it's like you got people that have known our shop since the 60s, these people became my family. So, and violence was rampant. So by the time I was about 20, I want to say about 27, I knew close to around 40 some guys that got murdered before I even got to LA. And it's a thing where you see somebody sit in your chair on a Friday and then Saturday evening their mama calls you and tell you that they gone. Or, Monday morning they ask you, can you come cut their hair at the funeral home? And it's like, it just puts something in perspective where you look at how precious life can be and how fast it can go away from you. And it was one of those things for me, like every day I wake up, I always be like, all right, where we going today, God? I have no idea. But I get excited about it because I could have easily been on, I could have been gone. I'm living on borrowed time when it comes to that. And it's a weird conundrum that puts you in a space where you realize that every day, every moment, every second, every person, every conversation, that you get a chance to engage, you appreciate it because it could easily be gone. I could easily have not had that experience from the very first person I knew that went away from me. So.
And you live by a certain mantra. You have a special mantra or motto. The journey is the experience, and the experience is the journey. What does that mean to you? And why is it something that you carry every day?
Because I look at your whole life is one big journey. It's like I feel like I'm writing my movie every day, and it doesn't have anything to do with what I write on paper. So me writing this journey is a series of experiences. This is an experience that we're having right now, but I'm a part of your journey and you're part of mine. But we're meeting in a crossroad right now. And when you flip that, it's like your whole entire life can be one experience. See, it's like perception. What I talked about earlier about how people perceive things is when you look at what one experience could be, people look at it and say, you know what, oh, this is only one moment in time. But it's like, what if your life is only one moment in time? Your whole life is one moment in time. That's one experience in the grand scope of it. And it always just felt like it was like that thing, that conundrum of, when you look at the infinity sign and it goes like this. And it always just keeps going back and forth. The journey is the experience is the journey. And once you start putting yourself in that pathway, you start seeing that, you're painting this beautiful photo and this beautiful picture and you write your own story, you write your own unique film. And that's what makes life beautiful for you.
Well, I am proud of you. Congratulations on everything that you've accomplished thus far. And I love the mantra and I love how you see every day as a gift.